Okay, we may as well get started. Welcome everyone. We've got our second PageProof Spotlight session kicking off right now. And this is really about some hidden gems inside of PageProof, which we're really excited to be sharing with you. On the call, we have myself, I'm Mike McHugh, the country manager based in Australia. We have Brad Fairhurst, who's our enterprise account executive, and Carl Jones, who's our principal solution consultant, and he's going to be doing the majority of the demo today, which is exciting. So we've got some fun stuff for you. We'll kick off with just a quick PageProof overview, and then we're going to get into our 3 productivity gems. And at the end, we're going to show you how you can become a productivity superhero in your place of work as well. If you have any questions as we go along, please feel free to pop them into the chat pod. And if we don't get them throughout the session, we're more than happy to answer them at the end. So to kick off, what PageProof is all about is removing the chaos of the review and approval process of all different types of content. So rather than sending things out via email or Slack or Teams messages or any other means and then having to collate all that feedback separately, missing deadlines, missing changes that need to be made, we put all of that into one neat spot that helps you track and manage the entire process all the way through. But we know we're not an island. We integrate with all of the familiar software that our customers use, from content creation on the left there with Creative Cloud or Canva, Adobe Express, even Microsoft Office, to integrating with different storage partners, Box, Dropbox, SharePoint, Media Valet, the list goes on there. And then even with workflow tools such as Asana, Monday.com, Trello, ClickUp, Airtable. There's a bunch of partners that we integrate with there as well. So we're happy to talk to you about all of those things if you have any requirements. Our first little productivity gem is based around management. Now, when we're talking about managing a workflow, it means we need to get the right people at the right time in the right job. And this is a bit of a funny ad that I've seen where it looks like the copywriter may have been on leave. Well, what do you do if someone's on leave? How do you build in redundancy, etc.? Or if you really don't need them, how do you skip them? We're going to have a look at a few of those things by using our workflow setups. And Carl, that's a cue for you. Can you show everyone what that first little productivity gem looks like in action?
I think I can. Well, first of all, hello. Again, my name's Carl Jones. Let me share, if I could, my screen with you. Hopefully you should be able to see my screen right now.
Yep.
Mike's giving me the thumbs up, so that's definitely, you can. Definitely, maybe. So, first of all, I've actually generated a report that talks about, that's just basically the proofs out and review and overdue. Which of my proofs that are in PageProof are actually overdue right now? And I'm the manager of this process. I could have also looked potentially in Monday.com or in Asana to see what issues there are with overdue proofs. But in this particular case, I've just generated a report directly into PageProof. And as you can see, there's one South Australian yellowtail that's actually overdue. It was due on the 10th, which was a couple of days ago. And it's currently sitting with this person. It's sitting with Diane. If we arrow over Diane, we can see her status is that she's actually on holiday. This gives us a bit of a clue as to what's going on here. I know that Diane's on a lengthy holiday. So let's dig into this and see if we can fix that particular issue in the workflow while the workflow's ongoing. So if we dig in here into this proof, so you can see it's an advert for some fish, South Australian yellowtail. I can actually dig in as a manager and have a look at the information about this proof, and we can see it's actually overdue. It was due on 9 a.m. on 10th of November, so a couple of days overdue. And it is indeed sitting with Diane, and Diane is as we know, on holiday. So what can we do to fix this up? Well, what we can do is we can. You'll see that there's another person there. Actually, Brad is in there, and he hasn't done anything either. So Brad's a bit naughty. Now you can see Diane is a mandatory. So this workflow is actually waiting on a decision by Diane before it will go forward. We can see here that the due date, there is actually a step due date on this as well, and that's also overdue, obviously. That was the 9th, so we were hoping this was done by the 9th. So we really need to get things moving. What I can do is I can actually potentially add someone else into this mix. I'm going to add this guy called Mike into it and make him the mandatory instead, because I know he's not on holiday. Are you, Mike?
No.
Mike's not on holiday. What we can also then do with Diane is take her out of the workflow. We've got a couple of options here. We could have just nudged her if we knew she was actually still with us, but she's on holiday. So actually, no, we can't do that. What we can do is skip her. So we're actually going to skip her out of this. So she's now skipped, and you'll see that's indicated against her name there as being skipped from the workflow. And Brad didn't answer the workflow, or didn't address, didn't give us feedback in the workflow. So what we can actually do is just give him a bit of a nudge. Please do this. Thanks, Brad. So what we've actually seen there is how a manager, this is just one of the many ways in which a manager can increase the management productivity within the creative process. Mike, hopefully that was good. Back to you.
That was wonderful. Thank you. If I don't mind, I might start sharing again myself. So
you should.
We shall do that. Yeah. Okay. So great little productivity tip. Our next one is really focused on the reviewer experience. How do we get the reviewers doing exactly what it is that we want? Because sometimes our reviewers are commenting on the wrong things. For example, this one, which I find rather humorous, that the sandwich needs to be a little bit more playful. I mean, I love a playful sandwich as much as the next guy, but it's not helpful on this review. Or in fact, I'm getting comments about all and sundry here where I really want to draw attention to a particular thing within that proof that I need the reviewers to comment on, not everything else. For example, the product may be locked down. We don't need commentary on that. We just need certain review feedback, and we can guide that with a checklist. So we can draw our reviewers' attention to it. So Carl, can you show us this one in action? How do we use a checklist to draw attention to certain details within a proof?
I'm sure I can. Give me 1 second. While I just try and share again, if I could.
You got it.
Thank you. If I can just now find my Zoom window that allows me to share. Here it is. The joys of Zoom.
We love it.
We love it, though, don't we, really? Okay. Thank you, Matt. So it may well be that our organisation has been seeing an awful lot of AI-generated content, and that's something we don't necessarily want to have creeping in to our content flow. And so actually, what we're going to do here is we're going to make some couple of changes. We're going to make a change to the actual checklist in our Spotlight session checklist here. In that checklist, we can add another as a manager, we can add another item in here that says check for AI content and check for spelling mistakes within your checklist. Check for AI content. Okay, so now I've actually updated that. And interestingly enough, this checklist is inherited within a proof template, if you're familiar with proof templates. Extremely powerful. If I now go into my proof templates, proofs, and Spotlight session number 2, you'll see that there's preloaded with a number of things, including the message to reviewers, a tag for demo. But actually, it's using this demo workflow, and it's also inheriting Spotlight session checklist number 2, the one we just changed. So we've actually changed the Spotlight session checklist number 2, which is then inherited into this proof template. So if we were to go and create a proof based on that, so what I can do is I can drag and drop this content, my astronaut here, into PageProof, and that will kick off this particular workflow, this particular proof. What I'm going to do is use this proof template, and that's actually going to inherit the checklist that we saw a moment ago, and is going to check for AI content as well in that particular checklist. What I'm going to do, it's going to go to Diane, even though Diane's on holiday. That's all good. And Mike and Brad and whoever else. I'm going to add this now to PageProof and create that proof. And I'm going to now change back over to Diane and show you what the reviewer experience actually looks like. So this is in her inbox, and it's an astronaut wearing a 60s style NASA spacesuit. And here is the actual checklist. So in this particular checklist, she can check a number of different things, but of course she's been prompted to check for AI-based content. Now, how does she do that? Well, within PageProof, we now have the capability to be able to do that. If we click on this lozenge down the bottom, there is an indication that this is AI-generated content. If I click on generated image here, as well as some other information about this particular piece of content, it shows me that this was actually created by Adobe Firefly on that particular date in 2024. So even though it's really obvious it's AI-generated content, we've actually checked that off. Is it AI content? Yes, we've checked that off. And what we can actually do here as Diane, even though she's on holiday, she's very dedicated, very dedicated. This is AI content. And she could, in fact, alert everyone in the team that this is AI content. Everyone will get a notification, and then perhaps someone further down the path can, or down the workflow, can actually change this workflow. They could abandon this, potentially get it to change as not being AI-based content. So a couple of things there. We've really seen how automated tools can save reviewers and managers, for that matter, some time. Proof templates have got the inheritance within them, as you saw, and checklists ensure that everyone knows what's expected of them, and in fact what's not. It gets them focused on what's important, and so they don't go off down the rabbit hole. We also saw advanced tools like the AI content credentials detection means that those functions like that, like AI content detection, can actually be done entirely within the solution without downloading your content into other tools. This is just a few examples of how PageProof enhances reviewer productivity. And productivity is never going to be the same again. Mike, back to you.
Carl, that was an amazing demo. I would never have picked a cosmonaut playing a Fender would have been AI generated.
No, it looked real to me. It looked absolutely real to me.
Definitely send a photography crew to outer space with some guitars. to take that photograph for sure. Okay, it's enough silliness. We're coming to our last gem, our last productivity gem, and that is avoiding rework. There's nothing worse than doing something once. It's having to do it twice. So I came across this little gem on Reddit where someone had printed the wrong QR code on their artwork. And of course, I love reading about how Redditors tackle things like this. And in fact, they'd created a QR code with the wrong URL attached. And so it was taking someone to a dead URL. So the suggestion was, well, why not buy that URL for $10 and then redirect to your actual site? That way you can track all of the traffic. Well, an accidental marketing
Genius.
genius, perhaps, but not perhaps the most efficient way of doing it. And we've seen some really costly mistakes made when it's come to printing the wrong QR code, or even worse, the wrong barcode within your artwork. Carl, are you able to help us understand how we can catch these mistakes before they're made?
I think I might be able to do that.
Wonderful. Okay.
If you could stop sharing for us 1 second, and I will share my screen again.
You got it.
Thank you very much. You should be able to see my screen. Can I get an oh yeah, please, Mike?
Indeed. Yes, indeed.
Thank you very much. All right. So one could argue that pretty much everything that PageProof does is helping customers avoid expensive rework, and that's particularly important within packaging or within some other maybe print industries where we've got print advertising that's got a QR code or something similar on it. So what we've got here is an example of a piece of packaging that has a barcode on it. Has a barcode on it. It's also got a QR code. And what we have within the magic tools within PageProof is the ability to be able to scan those. So detect them and scan them. So we're going to use the magic tool, the barcode scanner, and that's going to now detect 2 barcodes that have been found. Oh, by the way, I'm still in here as Diane. She's still on holiday, but dedicated as she is, she's still working as a reviewer. Now, this gives us a number of different things we can actually do. She can have a look at the content of this QR code, and she can say, well, this is a QR code for that particular website. She can, when she clicks on it, is able to open that website, the wonderful PageProof website in itself. She can open that, but she also has more options. So her other options are to create a comment from this and show that this is actually correct. So she's looked at this, and obviously there would probably be a checklist as well to say this. This is the correct. I've checked barcodes and checked QR codes. She can highlight this as correct, but she can also use the box fill function to be able to say that this barcode is approved. And you will note that changes the shading a little bit on the actual barcode when we highlight it, and that's actually been highlighted as green. And so that is shown as being checked and approved, and other folks don't need to have to go and do that. Right, so that's the QR code. Notice that there's actually two a QR code and a barcode. So we can zoom in on this barcode a little bit and look at the content of that. The great thing is it shows us that this is an EAN 13 type barcode, a retail barcode, the right sort of standard that perhaps we are looking for, and gives us some dimensions of the barcode so that we can ensure that those dimensions match what is necessary for a good scan within that packaging. Now, if I click on this for more options, what I can do is copy that code to the clipboard. And I can use one of the common barcode scanner websites to actually look up the product that's associated with that to ensure that the product itself is the correct product for that particular barcode. So if I do a search for that, oh, hello, this is actually beans. It's baked beans. The healthy baked beans with no added sugar, and delicious I'm sure they are, it is certainly not what this packaging actually is, which is a USB-C cable. Okay, so there's a problem there. So what we can do is highlight that in a comment. We've found that we can create a comment from this, and so we can say, no, this is beans, with a sad face or a disgruntled face in the very least. And also then highlight this and say, well, this is essentially not approved. There's a problem with this. So there we've actually highlighted, we've used the QR scanner and the barcode scanner to be able to validate the content within the QR code and the barcode itself. So Diana's used these tools to automatically check these items, and she's really prevented a really expensive packaging rework, and some might say she's actually saved the organization a heap of time and a heap of money. And Michael, back to you.
Thank you. Thank you, Carl. Baked beans, hey? Who would have
Indeed.
thought that? So, an easy mistake to make, isn't it? So we could do that. So thanks, Carl. We've seen 3 great productivity or hidden gems inside of PageProof, starting with the management productivity, unsticking the stuck proofs, skipping reviewers, adding reviewers in midstream. So some great tips and functionality there. The reviewer productivity with checklists, seeing how we can add new items and draw attention to particular pieces of artwork. In this case, we were looking for any AI generated content, which was a really great tip. I think that a lot of people perhaps don't know is inside of PageProof. And then finally, our rework avoidance. So checking for QR codes, checking for barcode verifications, and even seeing if the URL is correct or indeed if the product is correct. And of all of these things, there's some huge time savings there, and there's some huge cost savings that can be associated with that. We do a lot of reviews, efficiency reviews. As a matter of fact, Carl here has just done our demo, is an expert on this topic of value engineering. As a matter of fact, he has written a best-selling book about value engineering, and we're really pleased to have him on our team to help guide our customers. As a matter of fact, we have a great maximizing return on investment white paper that we can share with you, but we would love to help you become an ROI superhero within your business. So if you'd like us to get on a call and we can walk through how to quantify those savings, those time savings, those cost savings with you, we'd be more than happy to do that. Carl and I and Brad can jump on a call and walk through that and do some calculations with you, and you'll really stand out within your business when you see what we can actually provide. It's frightening. We're usually very conservative with our estimates, but even the conservative estimates are kind of a little bit mind-blowing. So thank you very much for attending today. Again, my name's Mike McHugh. We have Brad here and we have Carl Jones. So we'll just stick on the line for a minute longer. And if you have any questions, please feel free to pop them in the chat pod and sing out and we can ask those. Sparing that, thank you for attending, and we hope to see you at our next Spotlight session, which will be in December. So look out for the invite for that one as well.
Thanks all.
Thank you.
Thank you.